Welcome back to another episode of That Fitness Couple, where we talk about eating meat, lifting weights, and how neither of those things make you bulky or give you heart disease.
That is true.
Well, today we are celebrating our 200th episode.
Woo woo!
Super excited for this, and we figured we would just do some rapid fire questions, maybe look back on the last 200 episodes, but more importantly, get into some of the meat, if you will, of the things we love to discuss on this show.
We love to get into the meat and eat the meat, so let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, Mike, coffee or pre-workout?
Coffee. Go-to pump-up song.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Mike, if you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
This is so easy. Ribeyes.
Ribeye.
What is one food you'll never eat again?
Broccoli. If you could train with any fitness icon, who would it be?
The late, great Jack LaLanne.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
Favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Cobra Kai. If you weren't in fitness, what would you be doing?
Commercial artist.
Wow.
I was serious about that.
Yeah.
I think that if I never went down this fitness path, I would have done something related to illustration, commercial art, something in that range.
That's pretty amazing.
I mean, you. Let me toss it back.
Architect or superintendent?
Glad you didn't go that route.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Oh my gosh, this is so hard. I think I would have a house in a couple of places. I'll be honest. Greenland doesn't get very warm, but it looks pretty amazing for adventuring. And I feel like with so much of what we do virtually, might have to be where I go with the 50 other people that live there.
You might be there by yourself.
I really might be. I know. What is the biggest scam in the fitness industry?
Oh, this is an easy one now. All the longevity supplements. And I say that because in order to prove that they work, the only way we know is if somebody dies or they don't die. Yeah. There is just not enough data collected. So a lot of it is just speculation.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
All right. What's the worst diet you've ever tried?
The Montefiore Hospital diet, where I ate hot dogs and cottage cheese.
That sounds absolutely disgusting.
It's so disgusting. You fart so bad.
Ugh.
You're trapped in a gym overnight. What do you do first?
I go and I cut the power to all the cardio equipment.
That's really good. I like that.
What's a conspiracy theory you kind of believe?
Oh, all of them? I'm going to say, I don't know if I get flack for this one. I really do not believe that we have ever stepped foot on the moon. I just think it's crazy. How could you lose the technology to go after 70 years? Yeah, I don't think so.
Here we go, people. Now you get a real inside look on my life and the conversations that occur quite frequently in our household.
It's a good thing our kids don't go to public school.
That's true.
Mike, if we could swap bodies for a day, what is the first thing you would do? No, don't answer that.
I'm going to answer that. I would stand in front of a mirror and stare at my butt all day long. Your butt. That's what I would do.
That's amazing.
What's one thing you'd never post on social media?
My butt. Actually, booty shots. I literally hate the fitness industry being all about skin and cleave and boobs and butt. Like, you are not that low that's what you have to do to get likes.
I am so glad that I don't have to go on social media to see all that.
What is the dumbest thing we've ever argued about?
Gravity. Corey Beth believes that gravity doesn't actually exist.
I didn't say that gravity doesn't exist. I said that there's two things that violate the law of gravity. And so is it gravity or is it density that we actually exist within? Bubbles and helium balloons do not follow the law of gravity.
There's a scientific reason for that, but it's beyond my scope of explanation. So I'm going to leave that one there.
Apparently mine as well.
All right, Corey Beth, what's the best prank you've ever pulled?
An absolutely epic one was covering our 2-year-old in Nutella and putting him on the potty and allowing him to call you in to clean up his poop and watching the expression on your face, which I recorded on camera and was the most epic prank in my entire life.
I almost feel like you might have to put that video somewhere in the social media when this comes out, because I got to admit that one was really good. I do remember walking in and my exact reaction was, "What did you do? What? How did this happen?"
No, you were like, "Is that poop?" And then I rewound it and put it in slow motion. You're like, "Is that poop?" And there's our little 2-year-old. He's like, "Baby Rooney, are you coming in?" That was the best one ever.
Yes, it was really good.
If you could only say 3 words for the rest of this episode, what would they be?
Jesus, muscle, meat.
That's pretty awesome.
What's the worst business or fitness advice you've ever received?
Hire family. It's
There
pretty
you
bad
go.
business advice. Don't ever do that. Mike, what is your honest opinion on the influencer fitness industry?
It's mostly stupid.
It is so stupid.
And I just say that because if you have your entire day available to post up fitness content, which is probably related to what you're doing, and you're not actually working with people, a wide variety of people, then all you're doing is passing out information that you think is right because it works for you without any real proof behind it.
Welcome to Instagram. That's Instagram in this year.
All right. Last of our rapid fires. What's an unpopular opinion you stand by 100%?
That is not that hard. Go back to our last episode. Like, it's literally not that hard. People make it so hard. It is really not as hard as you think.
Why do you say that? Elaborate.
That wasn't the plan.
It wasn't the plan.
Like, go to bed. Just go to bed on time. Just drink an extra cup of water. Have a little bit more protein and stop eating crap. Like, that's literally how hard it is. And listen, like, I don't want to minimize the struggle someone may be in. But when I say it's not that hard, what I actually mean is it's not that complicated. We want to overcomplicate, I have to juice and I have to have oatmeal with these chia seeds and these coconut flakes. Like, you don't have to have any of that. I have to cold plunge and then I have to infrared and I have to do you don't have to do any of that. Like, you literally don't need all of that fluff, literally. Just resistance train and eat meat. Everything we talk about every episode is actually all you have to do. It really is not as complicated as we make it out to be, and it's more accessible to people than they realize.
We were just at a party this past weekend and we met a lot of people.
So many questions.
So many questions. And I honestly don't mind.
No, I love them. I just think it's
So
fun.
do I. But to this point that you're making about it's not that hard. What people like to say in those environments when they meet us is it's so hard because. And at what point do you just say to yourself, let me put down the excuses as to why it's so hard and just move forward?
What I'll say is this. I really enjoy, though, when people are curious about what we do, just because it is so different than what people are used to. And I want to say I think it's actually encouraging when we share it's 30 minutes twice a week. I think people go from, oh my gosh, I don't do this because I need 7 days, to, oh, I could do 30 minutes twice a week. And even when we say we just eat a little bit more protein, I think people are like, well, I could do that too. It goes from this very complicated, confusing thing, because there's a lot of conflicting evidence out there. Listen, there's somebody out there with a podcast that talks the exact opposite of what we're talking about right now, right? Like, do lots of cardio and eat all your plants and juice every single day. So yeah, people feel confused, but I think at the end of the day, like, you just have to start with something and see how you feel. And hopefully it's resistance training and meat.
Love it. All right. So we're going to move on. We each have for one another set of questions based on our area of expertise. So I believe I'm going to be getting all of the fitness and training related questions, and
You are.
I'm going to set you up with all of the mindset and motivation type stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think this is a really great opportunity for people just to get some really great insights, because how many years have you been doing this?
25.
Is it? I feel like we've been saying 25 years for like the last 3 years. I think it's more than that
I think
now.
I miscalculated when I first started saying 25. I think I was behind. I mean, listen, I'm a trainer for a reason. It's not because I'm good at math. Otherwise,
good.
I'd be an accountant. And trainers are notorious for not being able to count.
That's
How
true.
many times as a trainer have I
3
told
more
you
reps.
you have 3 more, which turn out to be about 7 or 8 more?
Always. Well, let's dive into this, Mike. The first is cardio really necessary for fat loss?
No. And to tell you the truth, no exercise is actually good for fat loss if you're thinking that the activity itself is what's going to help you to lose body fat. And the reason why I say that is because all exercise only accounts for about 10% of our energy expenditure. So that means that there's 90% of other stuff that actually contributes more to our fat loss than exercise. So why do we spend so much time on it?
Because that's what we believe.
That's what most people believe. But listen, just to elaborate a tiny bit more on it, truth of the matter is, even if you do start doing a lot of exercise because you think a lot of calories are going to be burned, your body is very good at adapting to that exercise so that you inevitably wind up burning fewer calories than you think. So that's why there's no need to put the focus there. You put the focus on your nutrition, which plays a much bigger role than exercise could ever.
Yeah, that's encouraging because the thing nobody has is time. So winning. All right. What do you think is the best workout for busy people?
Hours.
No explanation needed.
None.
Is stretching before workouts a waste of time?
It is. And the reason why is because you actually wind up pre-fatiguing your muscles. Meaning when you're stretching them, you are breaking down muscle fibers. And when you inevitably go to do your training, you are weaker. And this is not this is not conjecture. This has actually been researched and shown to be true that pre-fatigue from stretching actually results in lesser performance in your workout.
Just a quick question. Static stretching versus dynamic stretching. Any benefit to one or the other or still the same answer?
Dynamic would be better because dynamic works in many ways like a warm-up in the sense that you're not pushing the stretch excessively. You're allowing your muscle fibers to warm up while just simply going through maybe a slightly longer range of motion than you'll be doing in the activity or the appropriate range of motion that you'd be doing in that activity.
That makes sense. Should men and women train differently?
Absolutely not. The rules for building strength and muscle are universal, whether you're male or female. The response that one gets versus the other is based on genetics. Men have more testosterone, so yes, they build more muscle. They may increase their strength more easily than a woman. Then the rest of it is just based upon whether or not, your muscle length, your limb length, your natural inclination to make improvements in muscle size versus endurance. But the way that you provide the stimulus to the body to get any of these results is the same across the board.
Well, and that was a great episode too we did with Dr. Rachel, just about even hormonal changes for a woman and not really needing to change very much of your workout either. What is your biggest pet peeve in the gym?
Men who whimper when they work out.
Do you want to tell us what that sounds like?
No, I don't even want to give it any type of, I'm not going to, I can't display it. Like I could, but I'm not going to do it here.
Yeah.
But I cannot handle guys who sound like they're whimpering when they work out. I mean, a little grunt being let out here and there, I could understand, but the whimpering, no.
All right. Well, how about this one? Can you get strong with light weights?
Absolutely. What's most important is not the amount of weight somebody's using, but how closely they are training to fatigue. Your muscles do not respond to the amount of weight that's being used. They're responding to a challenge. So if you choose to use a lighter weight, but you continue to perform that exercise until that light weight feels like heavy weight, then you're going to get the same benefit as lifting the heavy weight.
That's awesome. What is the best way to increase flexibility without static stretching?
Resistance training. Just simply resistance train through a full range of motion and you get all the same benefits that you would from stretching.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, I'll never ever actually forget sitting in a resistance exercise conference side by side, and they talked about flexibility and range of motion actually being improved more by resistance training than yoga, which a lot of people think.
Yeah.
How do we get people to unthink that?
You don't.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
just hope they discover it on their own.
Understood. What do you think is the best strategy for increasing pull-up strength?
Ooh, I like this one because we've in the past had so many women who said, "Oh, I would love to be able to do a pull up. I can't do a pull up." Probably the best way to do it is to start by doing negatives. So, just to give an illustration of what that would look like, you would, if you're using a pull up bar, you'd have to somehow get to the top of the pull up bar and into the ending position, right, with your chin over the bar. Then it's just practicing lowering yourself. And the reason why is that we are actually almost 40% stronger on the negative, the lowering portion of an exercise as we are on the lifting. So even if you can't pull your body up, chances are you could still lower it under control. And just doing that, just doing the negatives will help you to increase your strength to the point at which eventually you would be able to do a full positive repetition or multiples.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the most exciting things to watch a woman do is a pull up.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, what is your number one tip for injury prevention?
Don't train like everybody else. If you walk in the gym and you watch how most people are training, if you simply did the opposite of what they're doing, then chances are you won't hurt yourself. So what they are doing is they tend to move at very fast speeds when they're performing their exercises, or they're doing exercise that is very high impact. You see a lot of the jumps and the explosive movements and all of these things that put a lot of pounding and stress on our muscles, our soft tissue, and our joints.
Wow. What is one training tip that completely changed your results?
Train less. I came from the school of thought that more is better, and that if you wanted to build strength, if you wanted to build muscle, then the key was to constantly be in the gym. And when somebody finally taught me the principles of exercise science and they explained how you can do a great job of stimulating your muscles with all this work, but if you can't recover from it, you're not going to reap any of the benefits. So once I started training less, actually cut my training in half, that's when I first started seeing great results.
It's pretty encouraging. Walking into Pure Physique changed my life, but do you think that everyone should train for hypertrophy even if they don't want to be bodybuilders?
Absolutely. And the reason why is that your muscle is the largest organ in your body, and we can argue that it may be the most important organ in your body because stimulating muscle ends up having such a cascading effect on a lot of different parts of your body. But in addition to that, we know as we age, if we begin to lose muscle tissue, that greatly reduces our functionality. We don't walk as well. We don't have as much energy. We start to gain body fat easily. So the goal should be to have as much muscle as we could possibly have going later into life. So for that reason, yes, even if somebody's desire is not to be a bodybuilder, they should focus on putting on as much muscle as possible. And I know we've reiterated it several times throughout these 200 episodes, but it stands to reason that you can't build muscle as easily as you think. People see or have a vision of a bodybuilder that's big and bulky, not understanding that there's probably multiple factors as to why they look like that. One might be they are just superiorly genetically inclined to build a lot of muscle, but that's a very small population. Second is the drugs that they're using to get this anabolic response that is abnormal compared to most of us who just fall in the middle of the bell curve. And then they are probably also living a lifestyle that is beyond what most of us would want to live. And the entirety of their life literally revolves around building and maintaining muscle. So I think for the majority of us, we don't have to concern ourselves with getting to that point.
That's really good. What is the biggest difference in how you train now versus 20 years ago? Hang on, I thought you were only 20 years old.
None. There is literally no difference with the exception of removing certain exercises, recognizing that I don't have to do squats. Like everybody, they posterize it as being the king of all exercises, right? If you're going to put an exercise on a poster, it's of somebody doing squats. It's not necessary. It's just an exercise. And you could train those same muscles using a variety of other exercises. I think if anything in 20 years, I've learned that still the most important factor is training hard. The exercises you do are not as important. So if something bothers you, like squats would bother my back, cause me to tweak and end up triggering my sciatica, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So that would be the only difference. Do the exercises that I enjoy doing.
Well, speaking of the exercises you enjoy, if you could only do 3 exercises for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Chest press, pull down, leg press. And that would cover the entire body in those 3 exercises.
Well, what then do you think is the most underrated exercise in your opinion?
Well, it's not in that group of 3. However, it is hip extensions. And the reason why I think that that is such an underrated exercise is today, especially, so many people sit and have this sedentary lifestyle that they don't realize how much their lower back muscles do not get proper stimulation. So I think that from an exercise that is simple to do and almost everyone has access to, I think doing that exercise is great for working the muscles of the lower back. But also the added benefit is it's probably, for all you ladies out there, one of the best, if not the best exercise for your glutes that you could perform. Then there's the added benefit of how it stimulates your hamstrings, and you're working your hamstrings through a stretch. So you take all of these different components. To me, I think it's so underrated because people have low back problems as a result of tight hamstrings. They have low back problems as a result of sitting and never stimulating their lower back muscles, or having too much tension in their glutes as well. So all of these things can literally be rectified with this one exercise if it's performed properly.
Yeah, I've had L4, L5, S1 issues for a myriad of reasons, and that exercise alone has been tremendous in helping me feel stronger. So if you had a baby, if you were in a car accident, if you have low back pain, or if you sit all day, 100% like. Next up, what is the biggest mistake people make when trying to build muscle?
I think first we have to just highlight that the way we build muscle is by providing the muscles a stimulus strong enough to make them change, to agitate them to the extent that they have to get stronger or develop in some way, shape, or form. But number 2, that process only unfolds if you give your body enough rest and recovery. So there's really 2 mistakes that people make. Either 1, they're not training hard enough to agitate their muscles, create a challenge that would make the muscles have to adapt. Or number 2, they are training hard enough, but they don't give themselves enough time to fully recuperate and reap the benefits of that hard training.
Nicely done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your fitness and training expertise.
Well, let's move on to yours, my mindset queen. How do you stay motivated, Corey Beth, on tough days?
We all have tough days. For me, it's pray. Just pray. Like, thank you, God, for giving me the wisdom. Thank you, God. And I do have an activity that I share with a lot of clients called the 4-minute mindset. It's 2 minutes of just intense gratitude. So if you're like, that sounds nice, but I'm not a prayer, that's fine. 2 minutes of like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like, thank you for my body, my health, getting up today, the sunshine, my house, the heat in my house, the cool in my house, that I have a car to drive, that I have a job to go to. And then 2 minutes in depth projecting what you want your life to look like. So visualizing. So you put yourself into that state. It's a great way to get out of toughness and get remotivated.
How do you handle self-doubt?
Pray.
I think we're going to be coming back to that quite frequently.
Yeah, well, listen, it's not cheesy. You know, when you have a belief that there is a higher power that's bigger than you, it's not about yourself, you know, because every single person has self-doubt or imposter syndrome or however we struggle, worthiness. And my belief is that impossible is where God begins. So I can think that I have doubt in myself or doubt in my abilities or doubt in a situation. But when I believe that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, my self-doubt goes away because it's not about me anymore.
Love that. What's a common mental block that people have with fitness?
Time. Everyone thinks it's a time issue. I don't have time. I'm too busy. You know, and listen, Whether you love him or hate him, I really don't care. So just think about him 6 months ago. Elon Musk runs 6 companies, six, and spends time with his kids and whatever number of wives he has. But anyway, like he figures out a way to get all that done. So then when I look at the person, I don't know, in our gym or in our program that's running themselves ragged, what is the difference? Because he has the same time and you have the same time and he's able to be so successful. So then what is it that we're missing? It's not our time, it's how we spend our time.
It's priorities.
100%.
What's interesting about that is we push a very time efficient approach to exercise. But if you actually calculate what amount of exercise we've recommended to people over, well, for me, the last 25 years, you and I together for the last 16, it's less than 1%, or it's around, I calculated once, it's around 1% of the total time we have available in a week, which is crazy. Because even for the people that need to commute to see us or any of our colleagues who also practice time efficient fitness, you come to find out that it's still less than 3% of the total time available in a week.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, 3%, like, it's a priority at that point.
Well, but then you think of the benefit that it actually gives you. There are mental wellness benefits, there's physical benefits, bone density benefits, muscle benefits. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. And if you use 1 to 3% of your time, that increases your productivity in all the other areas of life. I mean, it's one of the best investments you can make, but people are inhibited by the fact that, oh, it's going to cost me too much time. No, your priorities are just out of order. You don't understand what that's actually going to do for you. That's encouragement, not shame, by the way.
Well, that being said, I think this is a good segue question. What are your personal non-negotiables every day?
Every day it's time with God. I mean, this is just the reality of it. You know, I want to get up. Some days I would love to sit at the kitchen table and read my Bible. Right now I'm in Nehemiah. Great book of the Bible, by the way. Very encouraging for those facing difficulties. Sometimes it's just like, thank you, God, for this awesome day, and I move on because I don't really have time. Another non-negotiable, I would say for me, is a home-cooked meal. At least one of our meals every single day is home cooked. You know, we really don't eat out a lot. We don't order in a lot. Even during COVID, I think we literally cooked every meal. And there's just such great benefit to home cooked food. I think the energetic properties of it are superior to that which you're ordering out. And
you make it with love. So there's a lot of there's
every meal.
Lot of good energy in those ribeyes.
It's very, very good energy.
Do affirmations work?
Yes, with a caveat. What you say is what you get. You know, where focus goes, energy will flow, but you have to do it consistently. There's no way around it. Like, you can say, I am loved or I am worthy, but if you're not practicing it, you don't believe it. And so it sounds like a bunch of BS belief system. So consistency matters if you're going to do affirmations.
I have a follow-up question to that was not planned, but I think it's interesting. I'd love to get your take on it. If somebody is not going to do affirmations, they're not going to be consistent every day, standing in front of a mirror, you know, speaking these things over themselves, is there anything else you would suggest that they do, or is there an alternative?
Yeah, I would definitely say changing your state. You know, so it's get up and do 5 squats or 5 jumping jacks or 5 push-ups. Just do something that's actually going to change the physiological state of your body. You know, so if you don't want to stand in the front of the mirror like, I am loved, I am kind, I am strong. There's a lot of people actually that think that that's incredibly cheesy and stupid. And I would just challenge those people, do that for 30 days and then see how you feel about it, because I promise you'll feel a little bit better about yourself. But for those that don't want to be consistent, I would then take a bodily approach and do something to physically jolt your body out of the state that you're in. And I think that that would probably be near as good as telling yourself positive things.
That's awesome. What's the biggest lie you once believed about success?
That I'm not worthy of it. And I think that that's probably what a lot of people believe, and very few people are willing to admit. I mean, we've been part of enough, high level masterminds, 5, 6, 7, 8 figure earners. And there's people sitting at the table making $1 million a year, $50 million a year, and they don't believe they're worthy of success. And I think for a lot of people, we believe it's a self-imposed lie. And I think it's a self-limiting belief, but it's a doubt that a lot of people carry. And how to overcome it? Well, go back to the last 5 answers. Faith, God, positive self-talk, positive energy, positive mood, and not in a toxic positivity type of way, but I think you have to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve and accomplish. I mean, listen, we literally at the beginning of the year wrote down a bucket list of things we wanted to accomplish and achieve. And upon writing them down, it was, I think within the first 9 days, we checked off 3. And they were silly things, some of them, like replace our refrigerator. I mean, it helped that it died. But it's, as soon as you start writing things down so that you have a vision and it's clear to you, you're like, okay, whether or not I believe I'm worthy of success, like this is what I'm going to go and achieve. And I think that the worthiness starts to work itself out as you take action and gain traction.
I think, too, how people define success is such an important part of the conversation.
Amen.
Because some people, like you pointed out, they could earn $50 million, but they don't feel like a success. Why? What are they basing it off of? Because somebody else is looking at them saying, that person is definitely a success. They make $50 million. But to the person with the money, that is not their definition of success.
Yeah.
And for the person without it, they're looking at it as, oh, success means monetary success. Meanwhile, they could have everything else going right for them. Great relationship with their spouse, great relationship with their kids, impact on their community or at work. And they have all these wonderful things, but because this one area is lacking, they don't feel successful.
Let's stay there for a second because listen, I was a straight A student. I graduated with honors and all the things.
I graduated with none of that.
Funny who started a business and who worked for who, right?
I had no choice. I was unhireable.
But that for me was my measure of success in schools. I had to get good grades, otherwise I wasn't worthy. And I felt really terrible about low grades. And then it was about degrees and finances. And because I didn't have that measure of success, my pathway prior to you was get my undergrad, which I dual majored, by the way, overachiever. Then I got a master's, and then I wanted to go and get a second master's and then a doctorate in educational leadership. And that to me was success. I wanted to open my own school. And probably, right, in that vein, you'd probably, earn some money, right, building that, scaling it. But I'll never forget homeschooling our 2 young boys and sitting at the kitchen table. And it was a total reframe that just hit me in the head one day because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the ultimate success, that I have a loving husband, 2 incredible kids that want to learn, that I get to spend time with. Like, time to me is far more successful. Being able to decide how you spend your time is a far greater measure of success than anything else.
Before we move to the next question, that side of your hair, just pull that down. Yep. There you go.
Was it coming out a little crazy?
Yeah, like one fly away.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You got it. All right. How do you stay... Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you stay disciplined when motivation fades?
Let's talk about this. Motivation fades for everyone. You cannot rely on motivation to get through your day. And so it's the calendar. It's live, breathe, die by your calendar. And I loved when a coach asked us, what's important to you? I'm like, our family. He's like, show me your calendar. And our family was nowhere in my calendar. He was like, really? So you're going to feel unmotivated, but as long as you have some semblance of a schedule or order of priorities to stick to on a daily basis, that's it. Like, what's in your calendar? Do that thing. You'll find motivation along the way.
What's a quote or mantra that keeps you going?
The one that got me out of the darkest period of my life. And that was when I met you. And I went from saying FML, which is F my life, to I believe all my dreams are coming true. And if you take no other positive affirmation about yourself, I think that's a great one.
What's one limiting belief you had to overcome?
All of them. Still working on them. Yeah, I think that there's so many limiting beliefs. I think worthiness is probably the biggest, that a lot of women just don't feel like they're worthy of success, happiness. I mean, we went out to dinner with one of our gym franchises, and the owner's like, I'm going to treat everyone. And all the women are like, oh no, you don't have to. You don't have to pay for us. Like, don't. And I'm like, just say thank you, right? Like, you're worthy of being treated. Say thank you. It blessed her. It blessed them. It was an amazing night. You're worthy.
That's great. What's the best jumping ahead with words. What's the best mindset shift for long-term success?
Focus on today.
I like that. I think we could just drop that one right there.
That's it.
How do you bounce back then after a bad day?
Tomorrow's a new day. The next hour is a new hour. You've seen me on bad days. I'm like fetal position. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't have any friends. I hate my life. No, I don't really say that part, but
You have all the friends, by the way.
you have no friends.
Remember when we first started dating? Like, you really have no friends. I'm like, no, I really don't. Thankfully, I have you.
Thank God I gave you all the friends.
Yes.
Me and everyone else. No, I think I had to bounce back from a bad day. Every day is a fresh start. That's it. It's all good.
Leave it in the past.
Yeah.
That's what we had to do after we were arguing about gravity.
Oh my gosh. Will you let this go?
I did let it go. I left it in the past. I'm just bringing it up that's how we overcame it.
I would like some physicist to be like, Corey Beth, you are absolutely unequivocally wrong about this. Or someone to be like, holy crackers, I never even thought about that. Seriously, why do helium balloons not get pulled back down to Earth? Makes no sense. Density.
Why, if we jumped out this window right now, we would prove gravity to be correct.
Density. You are more dense than air.
Moving on. How do you stay focused when you're feeling unmotivated?
You skipped one, but that's fine.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me go back to that then. All right. Moving on. What's a small daily habit that makes a huge difference?
3 words. Go to sleep. Stop looking for the perfect morning routine. Get your night right first.
I love how you have come to embrace sleep, especially, I mean, not that it's a new discovery for you, but
No,
I feel like you're rediscovering sleep for the first time since childhood.
Maybe since I was a baby. No, it's a very new discovery. And like, listen, people who are like, I operate fine on 3 hours. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because I said the same thing. You need sleep.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there are people who in military, in first responders, right? They are oftentimes pushed into a place where they have no choice.
Adrenaline.
But to learn, well, and also to learn to be sleep deprived. But I actually recently heard that there is again, just like the bodybuilders make up that less than 1% who could build large muscles, there is like less than 1% of the population that can operate on less sleep, still not necessarily 3 or 4 hours, but less sleep. And there are certain branches of the military and such, they recruit for those people. They are actually actively seeking them, but they're such a rare breed. For the rest of us, I would agree. Like, we 1000% need sleep. We need quality sleep, not just a lot of sleep. And it would make a world of difference when it pertains to our mental health and our physical health.
You want to be nicer to your kids? Go to sleep. You want to lose fat? Go to sleep. You want to have energy? Go to sleep. You want to have mental clarity? Go to sleep. Just sleep.
There's a lesson there. How do you stay focused when you're feeling unmotivated?
I would go back to move your body, like change your state. You're going to get unmotivated. You're going to get unfocused. I am more distracted than anybody else, and I drive you absolutely crazy. Like, can you sit still? I want to put a camera in our office and just like time lapse it, because Mike just sits at his computer and focuses, and I'm up, down, up, down, up. I can't sit through a meal without getting up. Whatever. It is what it is.
Some of that's by choice.
Some of it's by choice. But I do believe, like, when you're unmotivated, I think it's just move and create your own energy. I love teaching clients how to give themselves high fives. Exercise snacks, I think, are great. Just move and then go right back to the task.
Give me 20 squats right now.
Gladly. With my butt covered.
Oh, I love it. All right. What's something you do every day, no matter what? Let me guess.
What are you going to say? I'm not going to say pray.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I tell my family I love them.
Oh.
Every day. I mean, you don't know when your last is, and I hope I live till 120, but every day. I love you. Hey, Mike, I love you.
I love you too. Last question. How do you block out negativity and distractions?
It's a great, great question. Distractions, because I'm so distracted. I get up and I walk away and then come back. And I've said that to you a million times. I'm just going to walk away from this. But then I'll come back and do it. Negative energy, different animal. You want the explanation on that one?
Please, I need an elaboration on this.
Listen, there's going to be negative people, unforeseen circumstances, people that just piss you off. You just have to decide how to respond. And I constantly work on this because not everyone in my life is unicorns. They're just not. And sometimes it's hard, but I think we have to get really good at how we respond because it's going to be there. You can't make it go away. There's going to be things people say or do that you don't like or they offend you. Stop being so offended. Get over it quicker. I constantly work on that, and I'll continue to work on that. But I'm better and better at that every single month.
Well, before we close out this episode, I think it's only apropos that after 200 episodes, do you believe that? 200
No.
episodes?
What year did we start this in?
2022.
Wow.
It was right near the end of 2022, but nevertheless, it's 3 years ago.
That's crazy. Well, we just first want to give a huge shout out to our amazing listeners. I mean, I think you say it all the time. Without an audience, you don't have a podcast. And so we appreciate you guys. We love your engagement. We thank you for your feedback, your reviews, your story shares. I mean, it's been a really cool journey to tack this show on for sharing health and interviewing amazing people and chatting with you guys in addition to Pure Physique, which continues to serve more people every single year.
It's definitely an exciting time, and I think I know we both want to reflect on some of the amazing episodes that we've had, but I think even before we do that, we have to give two other major shout outs. First and foremost to the one and only Cappy, Desmond McNeese. He is our engineer. He is the one that makes us come off sounding professional.
We mixed it, LLC.
We could not do this without him. So, Cappy, you are the man. We thank you so much. And, of course, Kevin Bruckner of The Bruck, which when we first started, we were recording these podcasts in our office.
Sharing a microphone.
And now here we are. We have a beautiful studio thanks to Kevin Bruckner at The Bruck.
If you're in the Hudson Valley, you should definitely check out the Bruck studio. It's photography, video, podcasting, photo shoots, everything you could possibly imagine. And Kevin is just a dream to work with. He's a true creative and just so ingenious at what he's created here. So yes, huge thank you to both of those incredible individuals.
Well, I want to start off just by asking you, I mean, who were some of your favorite guests or favorite episodes that we recorded?
I would say for me, the most impactful was Dr. Anthony Chafee. That is what got me to come alongside you on this carnivore journey. If he had not laid out the facts, the crazy scam of the food pyramid, what our government has done to our food, how the cigarette industry moved into the sugar industry and continued to poison and trick us there, a huge shout out to him for, again, helping me to see the light, so to speak.
I mean, I was so grateful for him coming on the show and for that to be the thing that kind of took you over the top. Because, I mean, just imagine this. Here we are. That was like episode 20 or 22. It was something really, really.
Episode 20.
Look at that. And here we are 180 episodes later. Could you imagine if you never went carnivore in all this time?
I think I would just be upset and bloated.
And I'd be here just cranking away, killing life, right?
All by yourself.
All by myself.
What about you?
I mean, I have several, depending upon the category. I mean, if we're talking the exercise category, I think the episode with Dr. Doug McGuff is a must listen for anyone. He is just an absolute genius in the way he explains exercise science, the way he broke down myokines. Was incredible. And then we had other great exercise researchers on here as well, like Brad Schoenfeld, Dr. James Fisher, Dr. James Steele. I mean, I'll be honest, like these are like my favorite people in all of fitness just because of the amazing work they do, the research that they've pumped out. I mean, it has so influenced me and what we do as a company with respect to exercise. So I was truly grateful to have all of those gentlemen on the show.
What about Natalie West and Dr. Sarah Zaldivar? I loved how Natalie West really dove in on mental health, and Dr. Sarah talked all about sugar addiction. I feel like that was a big game-changing episode, just even in how I conduct interviews with clients and discussing their sugar consumption.
Well, speaking of sugar, we had Dr. Robert Sives.
Amazing.
Absolutely. He is the carb addiction doc. I know that on social handles. In addition to him, we had Michael Collins, who is the sugar-free guy. We had Danny Conway.
Hormone health.
That was amazing, and we got into sugar addiction and stuff in that conversation. Same with Mary Roberts. That was another big conversation around sugar addiction. And we even dove into that a little bit more with End Carnivore with Judy Cho, which was a huge
amazing.
one.
Yeah, really incredible. I love her research on CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And then we had Keto Maria.
Yes.
Maria Emmerich and Craig Emmerich were both guests on the show and loved their insights into healthy eating, recipes, and raising their boys.
Yeah, I mean, it was great getting that perspective from them as to, they've been OGs in the keto space for a very, very, very long time to see how they are doing it as a couple and as a family, raising two boys. I mean, it's definitely very inspiring.
And then there was Dr. Jamie Seaman, Hard to Kill. Really, really enjoyed her insights. I mean, she's like a badass chick. Definitely admire her a lot.
She was amazing. And then how about Dr. Brian Williams? I mean, nobody brought more energy.
I will
to an
act
episode.
today.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there right now. We're going to tag him in this on social media because he must come back. That was one of the most enjoyable episodes I can ever remember.
He was extra crispy.
He absolutely was.
Then we had Food Lies. So that was Brian Sanders. Talked all about food lies, fake meat, and feeling full. Really love his Instagram account. I think I like every post that he puts up.
Yeah, he has some absolutely phenomenal information and has shared information from another great guest that we had, which was Sally Norton, who wrote the book Toxic Superfoods. And that was a game changer for me, even though I already sort of knew about many of the negative aspects of vegetables. She just brought it to a whole new level with a whole lot of science, and having coached many, many people who've dealt with oxalate toxicity from the kale and spinach smoothies, as well as these other heavy oxalate foods. That was like just an incredibly insightful interview.
What about Gustav Grunso? That was really impactful for you with your headaches. So we got the headache cane. I think your sister ended up purchasing that as well from that episode.
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing for me because since then, I've had a significant improvement in my headaches. The intensity and frequency of them have diminished significantly. And that was all from, what he got to teach on our episode and what I learned from him just in his YouTube videos in terms of relieving tension in the traps. And yeah, that was very, very...
So Mike convinces me to massage him all the time.
That's right.
Thank you.
It's a necessity.
Then we had some cool business owners on. There was Teresa Todd of the Women's Real Estate Investors Network, RAIN, with her good friend Melissa Baker, also part of that organization. And then later we got to interview Danette Galvis as well. In addition, we had Casey Ruff of Boundless Body. He was just so full of energy and so fun to interview. I love the work he does with his clients.
Absolutely. And then we had Xavier Robinson and Logan Emmett Hurley from Reformed Fitness. Logan's got an awesome podcast himself. Exercises, you know what? And I love talking with those guys. I mean, I had a great time just talking shop, going into all the deets of exercise science and what's wrong with the fitness industry.
Yes. Another favorite interview of mine was Dr. Kiltz. Love that he worked in women's female health, and his message was eat the ice cream.
Eat the ice cream. One episode that I will constantly, and I don't ever see myself never not recommending this as one of the must listens, was our interview with Dr. Philip Ovadia.
Yes.
This one comes up probably weekly whenever we are introducing nutrition to new clients or talking with anyone for that matter, specifically about carnivore or eating low carb, high protein, high fat.
And heart health.
Because that's the number one concern.
Yeah.
You know, we've been so indoctrinated to believe that eating in such a way is going to lead to heart disease. And yet here is a heart surgeon who he himself eats that way and recommends it for patients, all with the purpose of keeping them off his operating table.
I think his mission's amazing, and like I will forever remember his website, ifixhearts.com. Definitely got to check him out. I think he helps to quell a lot of the mainstream propaganda fears that many people have about cholesterol and their heart health.
Well, speaking of missions, we had Callie Means on, who Callie has been on a mission alongside his sister, Dr. Casey Means, for quite a long time now, trying to change the narrative just within the political landscape with regards to health and nutrition, the way that we should be looking at our food system and drugs. And he has just been a major pioneer in that space. And so to have him on was truly an honor.
Well, I think Callie and Casey's story comes out of something terrible, and most beautiful things do. Losing their mom at an early age when really they shouldn't, and it felt like the medical system failed them. They're not just changing the narrative, they're changing the law. They're changing the way that food is created, voted upon, put out into the world. They're working with Food Babe. I mean, they're petitioned Kellogg's. I mean, they're doing really amazing things and working right alongside RFK. And it is really what our country needs.
Yeah, I mean, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep looking. Well, also another interview which was really interesting, which is probably also a must listen, is the one that we did with Chris Kenobi on seed oils.
Yes.
That was absolutely awesome. And there was Dr. Zoe Harcombe.
Amazing.
Awesome research. How could I forget our friends, Liam and Jesse?
You didn't forget them.
I
It was
didn't.
just later.
Exactly. Should have put him in with our, our business associates and,
Yes.
and fitness friends. Absolutely like hilarious time with them as always.
Well, they have a great business out in the San Francisco Bay called
TNT Strength.
Truth Not Trends. They're awesome people. We like hanging out with them.
They are.
Then we had an incredible talk with Suzanne Alexander. So she actually went and lived with a tribe in Africa, and I just thought that her insights were just pure and beautiful.
And she was all about living a primal lifestyle.
Yeah.
And along those lines, we had Bill and Christina Schindler, who have an absolutely great restaurant down in the Maryland area where they are preparing foods in the ways that food were originally prepared. So helping people to eat in a way where they can enjoy the food that they eat, but probably the healthiest way it could be prepared.
Speaking of eating, there was also Snacktivity with Amanda Daly, which has nothing to do with eating, but rather is just how to use little bursts of exercise called exercise snacks, according to Amanda Daly. That was a great inspiration for people just starting out, and definitely a term that we regularly refer to.
So to go in a different direction, another interview which was really fascinating was with Dr. Thomas Seyfried, who is a cancer researcher, and he is at the forefront of understanding and treating that disease. And that was just an absolutely incredible conversation, and the insights that he brought with respect to how we should be changing our nutrition and eating in a low carb, high protein, high fat fashion in order to keep cancer at bay and even battle it altogether. That was really incredible. And just his whole take on how cancer is a disease of the mitochondria, which is so counter to anything that we're hearing these days or have heard. But I feel like that narrative is going to change in the next few years.
We've had an American Cancer Society exist for 100 years that still hasn't cured cancer. It may be that we're looking at it wrong. And so his research and insights were incredible on compensatory fermentation and dysregulation, which is another way of saying your energy cells or your mitochondria are all messed up and starved of oxygen.
And someone else who is pioneering the carnivore movement was Kerry Mann. He has the organization Healing Humanity, and they're doing some great work, not just promoting carnivore, but he has also had many guests speaking specifically on cancer and utilizing carnivore as a means of treating that disease.
Homestead How is actually a really cool YouTube channel that he runs, and I think it's super cool to see how he lost 100 pounds on his own health journey.
Well, speaking of losing a lot of weight.
Are you going to say who I think you're going to say?
Oh, absolutely.
Sarah Bjorgard.
Absolutely.
I love her.
I mean, her number one, energy off the chain. Absolutely love always being around her. But her story was incredible also. I mean, dropping a whole lot of sizes and just looking absolutely incredible. And that she has been somebody who was actually, I mean, we were friends, but then she became a listener and was a perfect example of somebody who just took to some of the information and said, you know what, I'm just going to go and put that into practice and see what happens. And to see her results were incredible.
I will never forget that message from her. It came on Instagram. I'll never forget where I was in the house when I got it. And she was like, I just thought I should let you know I've been listening to your podcast and I did this and I did this and I did that. And I lost like all these sizes. And I'm like, wait, hold the phone. Like, what? And so we got into a more in-depth conversation where she was just saying thanks. And I was like, can we interview you? Because that's really freaking cool.
Yeah. I mean, that was great. And then, you know, some other really influential people in the nutrition space that we've had the opportunity to speak with are Carnivore JT.
Heck yes. We love Carnivore JT. Lily Kane. Bella, Steak and Butter Gal.
Yep, absolutely. And Maurice Dare. I mean, these are all awesome people who are doing some great stuff with regards to, you know, pushing the narrative of what healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle should look like. And then we have another colleague and friend of ours, Dave Bess, who he runs Green Light Personal Training. They have franchise locations as well. And he's just, you know, a very inspiring guy. I love the fact that, you know, our conversation got to go from talking about exercise and nutrition to we landed on faith and ended up spending a good amount of time talking on that topic, which was amazing. And, you know, I absolutely love moments like that during this podcast where we could speak with people openly about faith and the role it's playing in their lives. And the fact that for so many, as much as we try to hone in on the nutrition and the lifestyle and the exercise, for us as well as many of our guests, it was really getting that faith piece in place that more or less took things over the top. Also, if you want to listen to some really deep conversations on protein specifically, we had Dr. Donald Lehman, probably the foremost researcher on protein, and then Dr. Ted Naiman, who also takes the concept of protein leverage and how to utilize that as a means of dropping body fat and getting oneself into their best possible shape.
Then we had some pretty outstanding female interviews about their own journeys in fitness. We had our very own Heidi D'Andrea share about her athlete's journey and how much that has changed as she started motherhood to running one of our Pure Physique facilities and gave up her oatmeal after how many years? A lot. And then we had Elizabeth Benton join us. I love her story about losing 100 pounds and overcoming $100,000 in debt. Her book, Chasing Cupcakes, is great. Her podcast, Primal Potential, huge shout out to that. And of course, we had our very own Lori Lerman share her journey. We just celebrated her 55th birthday party, which was amazing to see her in a hot little pair of leather pants and a nice little blouse. I was like, oh yeah, you look hot. And of course, Jess Stokes, another client who had a really incredible transformation.
Then there was another woman who wasn't a client of ours, but had an amazing transformation story, which turned out to become a very popular best-selling cookbook, which was Courtney Luna with her Carnivore in the Kitchen cookbook, which we've benefited from for certain. And so she was an incredible interview. And I love her creativity in the kitchen.
Really, really impressive. A lot of clients love her cookbook too. We'll link that in the notes as well.
Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, incredible conversation again about keto, carnivore. She's been in the space for a very long time. I think of everyone we interviewed, she may be the one who has been doing carnivore the longest. I think she was over 14 years.
It's amazing.
Which is incredible. And then we had more recently Dr. Kevin Gendreau.
That was such an enjoyable interview.
Oh, talking about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, like all of the GLP-1 drugs. It was highly enlightening because I think most people would have suspected that would be an episode where we are bashing all of those things, but we brought him on intentionally because he probably, of anyone that we've met, had the most pragmatic and most rational point of view when it comes to use of those drugs, and the fact that he uses them as tools and not a crutch. I thought was just great getting his insights and also dispelling some of the myths.
100%. Episode 192 for people that are like, wait, they talked about Ozempic, not in a negative way. Episode 192.
One very interesting guest who we had who kind of pulled all of the pieces together in one book was Daniel Trevor, who wrote The Unholy Trinity, where he got very, very specific and named the exact chapters, by the way, that you should look in his book in order to learn about everything from the way to eat, the way to exercise, how we arrived at this place with regards to the way nutrition has been taught to us. Again, a wealth of knowledge, a great researcher. And if you need to know exactly where to find an answer about any of the questions that we have talked about on this podcast,
He'll tell you.
Get his book and he'll tell you the exact chapter, probably page number and paragraph as well.
That was impressive. And then coming up on a future episode, you're going to find Dr. Rachel Pajednik. She talks all about cold plunges, infrared, sauna, red light, all the things, cryotherapy. I mean, like really what I thought was very interesting for her was these are big hot buzzwords, not personally ones that I've gotten on board with yet. However, after her interview, I was like, you know what? There is one of these that I'm actually going to go and try and use. And her insights showed what not to do after a resistance training workout or before a resistance training workout. And I thought that was invaluable. So stay tuned for that episode coming up real soon.
I truly have enjoyed each episode that I've got to record with you by my side.
Did this podcast make our relationship better? Like, I kind of think it did. I think for most people, it might like kill their relationship and make it stressful. But I actually want to shout you out at the end of this. And for the people who don't want me to get like weepy or whatever, just hang on. Thank you for keeping us disciplined. We learned from Kevin Bruckner, where we record these podcasts, that most people never make it past the first episode. They'll record one and it's done. And then I think only 20% of people make it to episode 20. So the fact that we've gotten to this point, it is definitely not because of me. It is definitely because of you. So thank you for keeping us on schedule, on track, getting interviewed guests to come on. But like seriously, your discipline is off the charts and you are the sole reason that we are here at this point at episode 200.
Well, thank you. I appreciate this. I'm not going to say that I'm the sole reason because, well, doing these podcasts with you actually is a pretty good turn on. So I just have a good reason to make sure that we're plugging at least one or two of these in every week because it keeps me going.
Oh, well, with that, we will end here. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening. If there's an episode you want to hear, a topic that we have not yet covered around resistance training, meat, relationships, simply let us know. We're happy to go there. We love you guys. We appreciate you. From us here at That Fitness Couple podcast to you. Have an outstanding day. And remember, you were created on purpose, for a purpose, for right now. You are here for a reason. We love you, and we'll catch you guys real soon.